From the basement of La Penta, this is WICR.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Vault. I'm your host with the most, Jersey Joe Archino, and some very interesting comments. Have hit on a little bit of everything in today's segments. Clearly had to get to a soccer one, and some very good comments from Jose Mourinho. And I think for most people who follow the beautiful game, you know he's not someone who is ever shy to speak his mind, and I kind of appreciate that about him. And his thoughts were interesting, saying that Real Madrid and Barcelona would struggle in the Premier League. Now, he was trying to say along the lines that he didn't enjoy his time as much when he was coaching in La Liga, even though with Madrid he had the record-breaking 100 points and 121 goals in 2012, but he was just saying that he thought that the Premier League is no surefire thing, and it's a much more difficult league to win the title in, and I don't disagree with him from that standpoint of the Premier League is absolutely more difficult title to win than La Liga. I think in La Liga there's such a drop-off after the top three clubs. I mean, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, and Barcelona are the three top dogs, and really the drop-off after that and just the lack of competitiveness after that is just enormous. I mean, you really don't get too many competitive matches. I mean, when Barca and then Real play each other, when Atletico plays them, when the three of them are playing each other, those are absolute top-tier dogfights. But I mean, when you have Elche playing against Barca, and then you have Deportivo playing Real Madrid, these just aren't the matches that are going to bring out that true competitive spirit and nature. In the Premier League, I mean, you really feel like on any given match day, you don't know for certain what's going to happen. I mean, you have some days where Stoke City will go into the Etihad and they'll beat Manchester City, which we saw. You see the other day with Chelsea losing 3-0. I mean, in the Premier League, I don't think anything is given. I mean, there's definitely a more competitive. It's definitely nowhere near as top-heavy. I mean, you look at Chelsea and Manchester City and Manchester United and Arsenal and Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur. There are a lot of clubs that are very competitive in the Premier League. I definitely think that it's not as top-heavy as it is in La Liga. Now, from the standpoint of would Real Madrid and Barcelona struggle in the Premier League, that is where I disagree. I still think you put Barca and you put Real Madrid in any league, and they're probably 1 and 2. And I do think that way when it comes to the Premier League. I think each league in the world has their own unique style. Everybody is a little bit different. The Premier League is a little bit more physical than the other ones. Serie A is a little bit more defensive than the other ones. La Liga is a little bit more speed-oriented and better touch with the ball. So they all have their own unique styles and elements with their teams. But I still think at the end of the day, when you look at the talent on both the sides and you look at the form and the ways that they play, I think that it would just translate and they would have no problems in the Premier League now. But again, he's spot on when he says the fact that it is much more difficult. I think the Premier League title, certainly to me, means a little bit more because I know how much more difficult it is to get that title. It's extremely difficult. I mean, when you look at the amount of match day after match day, and I think Mourinho's comments were, you really feel like you have to win every single match day because you just don't know at the end. And you always see how competitive and how much there is that competitiveness throughout the season. In La Liga, I mean, look, this season it's really a two-way race the entire time. It normally is, the top dogs always being Barca and Real Madrid, but there is a significant drop-off, and that significant drop-off is not as much visible in the Premier League. And look, clearly you're always going to have some bottom feeders like QPR in the Premier League, but I still think that when you look at the way things work, I mean, even when you look at the FA Cup with all the second-tier teams that are knocking off Chelsea and Manchester City, I just think that that's the proof in the pudding right there, and Mourinho's comments definitely carry weight and are valid. They are. I think clearly, look, he's wrong about the Real Madrid-Barca thing, but look, he's just saying that. I think we all kind of understand. You put these two clubs anywhere, they're the top best clubs in the world. There's a reason they were the two best players in the world. They'll compete with anyone. But I do think he's spot on. There's no question. Just look at the standings. If you watch La Liga, you watch Barcelona and Real Madrid weekend after weekend, and you watch the Premier League in the mornings before that, you'll see the difference. You'll see how much more competitive the matches are in the Premier League even when a Chelsea takes on somebody like a Tottenham or something along those lines. I mean, there's just such more of a significant drop-off because you just never know. And I think Atletico, Real, and then Barca, they'll compete with anybody. You plug them in the Premier League, they'll win it probably. They have a chance, just as much a chance as anybody, but it's just not there's such that significant drop off, and it's interesting. I'm glad he spoke out about those comments because again, it is true. I mean, people always like to debate which league is the best, and look. You have the claim to fame with La Liga because arguably the two best clubs in the world are in La Liga. But after those two, and I'll throw Atletico in there as well because, I mean, look, they get to the UEFA final last year. They have a chance. They win La Liga last year. Diego Simeone is as good as it gets when it comes to a manager. But I think after those three, that drop-off is really, really significant and definitely more so than the Premier League. But definitely let me know what your thoughts are on the subject. I know everybody has their identity tied to their leagues, and it's a very passionate argument, but I think Jose Mourinho, he's hit the nail on the head on this one. But this is it for this segment. For the Sports Vault, we'll reshift, and we will be back tomorrow bright and early.